Welcome to this very special episode of TFL Talk. And we're sitting here having this episode because tonight, Andre, we're invited to the unveiling of the 2016 Volkswagen Passat.
Yes, the American version of the Passat, but somehow it doesn't seem as important.
No one's going to be talking about that. What they will be talking about, I think and I fear, is the fact that Volkswagen has just been caught cheating both its customers and the American government and the EPA. Andre, we've put together 5 questions that we want to ask Volkswagen brass tonight, and we will ask them that. Okay. But let's recap what has happened over the last 48 hours. You want to start with what we learned on Friday?
Sure. So the news came out that Volkswagen admitted to cheating EPA emissions test. And this affects models from 2009 to 2015, the 2-liter TDI diesel.
Yeah, the small TDI diesels that Volkswagen basically promoted and advertised as being clean diesels.
Right, and this is the Jetta, the Golf, the Passat with the 2-liter.
And unfortunately also the Audi A3.
Audi A3.
And it turns out they weren't so clean.
So there's an algorithm in the controller of the engine.
The car's brain.
Right, that detects when it's being tested.
Crazy.
And it's using an elaborate way to do so. And it cleans itself up by decreasing power and efficiency levels to be cleaner. And then when you use it every day, what happens?
We're going to go 100 miles on a loop, and we're going to maintain the best we can, 75 miles per hour. Now, if you've watched our truck channel, you'll notice that that's different. Well, we're trying something a little bit different just to see what will happen with this vehicle. I am confident that this car will get some of the best gas mileage out there, and we're doing it with 3 people and a stuffed horse.
When you use it every day, it reverts to its normal dirty self, and that is 10 to 40 times dirtier than government allowable levels. What we're talking about are 2 things here, Andre. We're talking about particulates, the little particles when you burn diesel, and some people have linked those to cancer, and we're talking about oxides.
Nitrogen oxides.
Right. This is
emissions.
This is the stuff that causes pollution, and it's 40 times the allowable amount, up to 40 times the allowable amount that the government says is okay.
That just sounds crazy.
Yeah, and
That's crazy.
What our first question is pretty straightforward. Go ahead, Andre.
WTF were you thinking?
Exactly. What were you thinking, Volkswagen? How could you, from a scheming point of view, decide that the best course of action was to defraud your customers and the government? This seems like such a short-sighted policy.
It seems the risk far outweighed the benefits. I mean, the Volkswagen, you have all the resources in the world, one of the biggest manufacturers in the world, and you have decided to do this.
Yeah, and the question, of course, is, this is a company that prides itself on being engineer-driven, right?
Yes.
They provide complicated engineering solutions, and somehow this, at least initially, looks like you couldn't figure out an engineering solution, so you decided to.
So there had to be another solution.
Yeah, and that was cheating, unfortunately.
We're back.
Okay.
So we're coming up to our fueling station.
Well, according to this, we've done 98 miles, so by the time we get over there, it'll be just about.
And according to the GPS, halfway route was 48.7. So maybe by the time we get to the fueling station, it'll be about 49, which is pretty accurate. I mean, it matches what the car is saying.
And I'm actually an owner of a TDI of 2002.
So you're okay.
No. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed.
But your car isn't being recalled.
No,
Yeah,
my car is not being recalled, but it doesn't matter. I'm really disappointed in the company.
Our next question is, who knew what and when?
Exactly. How far does it go? Did the CEO of the company, Martin Winterkorn, knew about
Professor
this?
Dr. Winterkorn?
Oh, Professor
Yeah.
Doctor, yeah. Did he know? When did he know?
And that's actually an interesting point, right?
Yes.
Because that's a lose-lose proposition, right? If you didn't know, then it's very bad. And if you knew, it's even worse, right? If the CEO of the company knew that this was happening and did nothing about it,
Right.
Then that's terrible. And if he didn't know, then it's terrible because he doesn't have control of the company.
I don't know, it's not really a winning game.
Let's talk about some facts. So 500,000 cars about are being recalled, which is a significant number. Right now in America, about 3% of all automobile sales are diesels, and about 3% are hybrids, electrified gasoline engine. power plants. And I think what this is going to do, and you don't have to be a fortune teller to figure this out, is that it's going to increase the number of hybrids from 3% to something else, and it's going to decrease the number of diesels, because I think America has had a tenuous past with diesels, going back to the old crappy GM
Yeah, and
diesels.
this is not helping.
No,
this is not really helping.
No, it's not helping. And Volkswagen, both in terms of VW and Audi, has spent millions, if not billions of dollars trying to push diesels. And this is going to set the cause of diesel technology in America back. And let's face it, diesels, when they are clean, are potentially more fuel efficient, more powerful,
Yes.
and less expensive than hybrids.
150 horsepower. That doesn't sound like a lot, but 236 pound-feet of torque, and that's what makes diesels awesome. This one is updated from the previous generation. Here we go, folks. This is the tally we came up with at the pump. 48.53. Okay.
When
To
they are
run,
clean.
less expensive to run. Diesel fuel is very cheap right now.
Yes.
It's a really good solution, except there's a big problem here with Volkswagen.
Yes, and the other issue, of course, is that it doesn't take a lot to make clean diesel dirty diesel, as obviously the scandal has shown. And the question that we have for Volkswagen, our number 3 question as we're going down this list, go ahead.
How much power and efficiency would you have lost if this device wasn't there? I mean, for the customers, you know, if they kept the engine clean, how much power and efficiency are you losing?
And that's a very technical question. So obviously there was some loss in efficiency and there was some loss in power. Otherwise they wouldn't have had this device. But the question is, like, is it 2% less fuel efficient, 5%, 10%? Is it 5% less powerful?
Is it 20%? What made you make this decision?
Exactly. And that's an important question, because right now Volkswagen is looking at about 18 billion, Andre, in penalties. We're not saying that's how much they're going to get fined, but that's the potential number. The other huge number is 18 billion, once again, is how much Volkswagen stock dropped overnight when the scandal was
In one
announced.
day on Monday.
In one day, exactly. So I can't foresee a situation where, you know, the number of MPGs and the number of power is worth that much loss. Because now we're looking at, what, $36 billion in potential loss.
Right.
That's just tragic. All right, number 2, Andre.
How will you compensate existing owners?
Yeah, tell me how you feel. You have Volkswagen. Do you feel betrayed by the company? I mean, this is something that the owners must feel just terrible about.
Well, I'm not affected. My car is not affected
But
because it was made older.
But you're a bit of a fanboy.
I'm a fanboy. I've been with Volkswagen for 14 years, and I'm a big fan of the diesel engine. I like the way they run, the power, the efficiency, but I just feel used. I don't have the trust in the company.
Yeah, and that it really is it. You know, in America, it's all about trust, right? And once you lose that trust of your customer, you've lost the business. Now, I'm not saying Volkswagen is out of business, because they've had a struggle here selling cars. So for Volkswagen, China is a much bigger market, and
Yeah, even South America is a huge market for them.
yeah, so it's not a huge market, but certainly it's a prominent market, and it's a market that sends a lot of the trends, because, for instance, in California, their emission standards eventually are the emission standards that we see in the rest of America and Europe, and
Right.
at some point the rest of the world. So it is an important place for them to do business, and this seems like it's going to set them back decades. Well, here's what's going to happen. If you just bought one, you're going to get a call from an attorney saying, we're going to sue
Yes.
Volkswagen. There's going to be a class action lawsuit. There's going to
Yes.
be state penalties. There's going to be federal penalties. It's hard to calculate exactly how much money is at stake, but it's a lot of money. Yeah, it's just a scandal that has so many ramifications. All right, what's our number 1 question for Volkswagen?
Is there more? Is there another shoe? The second shoe? Is there anything else gonna happen?
Yeah, I mean, the questions that we're wondering, and here's another question we've learned the answer to today. Canada has also stopped selling these affected cars. And even BMW's stock price dropped, because now people are questioning whether BMWs have the same software. We're not saying they do, but that's exactly what has happened. So are there cars in Germany? Are there cars in China? You know, what other cars are...
Other markets, yeah.
And a bigger question, you know, so far for Audi, only the small 2-liter A3s involved, but Volkswagen owns a lot of car companies. Let me just list them off my top of my head. There's, of course, Audi, there's Bugatti, there is Bentley, there's Skoda, there's
Lamborghini,
Fiat,
Ducati.
Lamborghini, Audi. I mean, I think there's a total of at least 10, maybe 11.
Yes.
And so who else and what else is involved? We don't know.
Exactly.
And I think in the days to come, we will know. But right now, as we're in the middle of this evolving, I'd call it a scandal, wouldn't you?
Yes.
These are the top 5 questions that we're asking, and these are the top 5 questions, hopefully, that will be answered, at least to some extent, tonight when the new 2016 Passat rolls off onto the world stage. But I don't think that's what is going to get the attention.
Right. Unfortunately.
As always, this is Roman
And Andre.
saying thanks for watching, and remember, subscribe by clicking below so that you can get the newest information, news, and of course, reviews first. See you next time. Ciao.
See you soon.